Hello everybody and welcome to Joe's Barbecue House. Today we're going to do a 17-pound prime brisket on the Weber kettle. Alright, let's start out with our cutting board here. A little tip here, which I didn't think would work but works very well if you have a problem with your cutting board sliding around. You just grab a paper towel like that and just fold it, put a little bit of water on there and lay them out to whatever size your board is, which is mine's pretty big board. But yeah, you set that thing right on top of there and it won't slide around. I mean, it's like it's glued to the table. It's pretty impressive. Let's see that again. If you watch my previous videos, you'll see that my cutting board had slid around everywhere when I'm trying to cut meat or do anything on it. But I'm telling you, this paper towel trick, it works and it's a must do if you have a problem with your cutting board moving around on you. Alright, let's go ahead and get this fat trimmed off. I've done enough fat trimming in my videos that you guys know how I do it. You just cut the thick stuff off, and being a hot and fast, I will leave a little bit of fat on. So let's go ahead and get this thing trimmed up. And for those of you that don't know, basically all you're doing is cutting off this hard fat. It won't render down, you won't need it, and just kind of watch through how I do it, or go back and you can watch my previous videos and kind of go from there. I do want to say something up front to you guys that I did do this for 5 hours on the Weber kettle, and due to the cold winds I could not complete the cook on the Weber because it just couldn't keep up, so I had to transfer it to my mobile smoker. I just couldn't keep the Weber's temps 350 degrees when that wind started blowing and being so cold.
A few moments later.
So while I finish up trimming up this brisket, I'm going to have an important question for you guys using those charcoal baskets for the Weber kettle. I've been using them for years, and there's times in the summer where I won't have a problem using both baskets, but most of the time, like 90% of the time, I always have this issue. So keep watching and I'll ask this question here very soon. Once you're done trimming the brisket, go ahead and put it in the refrigerator. Let's go ahead and start out by making the rub. Go ahead and get your measuring cup, and what we're going to use is some kosher salt, some black pepper, some ground celery seed, and we might use this Sweeetheat all-purpose rub. Okay, let's go ahead and get our ingredients mixed together. So we're going to use 1 cup of kosher salt, 1 cup of coarse black ground pepper, and we're going to use a 1/2 cup of the ground celery seed. Now, from my understandings, the celery seed is going to help us produce a very nice smoke ring from what I hear. I'm not sure about flavor or not, but we're going to try it because I have it, and we'll see in the end results on how it turns out. Alright, go ahead and get it all mixed up, and let's go ahead and rub this brisket down. So don't be afraid to put too much on there, just coat it on there because it's a big chunk of meat and it can handle it, trust me.
Where you murdering the beat?
Eventually.
Where you murdering the beat?
Okay, now let's go ahead and set up this Weber 22-inch with some charcoal baskets. These are brand new. My other ones had burnt out after many years of use. Alright, so what we're going to use for our wood chunks is pecan and hickory. And we're going to go ahead and stack them inside those new charcoal trays.
Where you murdering the beat?
Now let's go ahead and add the Kingsford charcoal briquettes. Well, if you guys seen my previous videos, you'll see that I had ran out of those Weber lighter cubes, and I still haven't bought any. This technique is working pretty good with the paper towel with a little bit of vegetable oil. You can check out my previous videos if you'd like to see how I make those wicks. Okay, let's go ahead and set the drip pan in there, and we're going to go ahead and get those wicks lit up. And keep in mind that it's 34 degrees out right now with winds approximately 10 to 15 miles per hour. Alright, you guys know what time it is. It's time to enjoy a nice cold brew while we wait for this pit to fire up. Alright, well it appears our coals are lit, so let's go ahead and put the grate on and get the lid on and wait for this thing to come up to temp. We are looking for internal temps of 325 to 350 degrees throughout this entire cook. And it's very important to keep your temperature gauge and top vent as you see here. Alright, let's go ahead and get this brisket put on here. And by the way, it's a 17-pound brisket if I haven't mentioned it earlier. And we're going to set it right in the middle. Now you guys see those coals? Do you see how the ones on the left are really hot and the ones on the right looks like they're dead? They are still lit, but I don't think they're going to keep up. So I have a feeling that we're going to have to remove this brisket if it gets any colder out, because I'm not sure if this Weber can handle the winds. Especially looking at my meat thermometer, it looks like it's reading 32 degrees. I thought it was 34, but regardless, let's go ahead and get these meat probes in here and get the lid on before that left charcoal basket fires up too much on us.
Where you murdering the beat?
So here you'll see my internal temps of the meat is sitting at 43 and 45 degrees. Now go ahead and set your timer for 2 hours. Alright, so I ran into a little problem. We're sitting at 350 degrees. I'm going to go ahead and put my hot mitts on here. And you'll see on the right side that the coals, they're lit, but they're not as hot as the left side, which I'm really not understanding why. I run into this problem occasionally with these Webers, and when I run 2 baskets. I don't know why. Maybe you guys can help me out. That was one of my questions for you guys, and I've been cooking on Webers for years and years, so I'm not understanding. So I'm going to go ahead and make some adjustments here and just slide that drip pan over and then set the meat right over top of that and go from there. If you're wondering what I did with that extra basket that was still lit, I went ahead and put it in that mobile smoker there right on the right side. And that's going to slowly fire that thing up for when I go to do my sides. So being that I only have one charcoal basket in there, I'm going to go ahead and set a temp sensor and put it right through the vent so I can monitor the temps above the meat there. Being that the fire is right underneath that temp gauge on the lid, it probably won't give you very accurate results. It'll probably read, say, 600 degrees, but in all actuality you're at 350, so just keep that in mind. Okay, we are about an hour in, and I want to go ahead and check and see how our coals are doing, because it is now dark and the temperature now is getting pretty low, like probably 27 degrees or so, and I'm just not sure how efficient that this thing is going to run, especially with the wind starting to pick up. So let's go ahead and kind of shake our basket around like you just saw there, and I'm going to go ahead and add some more coals and wood chunks. Alright, our 2 hours is up, and let's go ahead and check it and see if we need to spritz it or not. And as you can see, it does look a little dry. So what I'm going to do is just take my water bottle and go ahead and spritz this thing down.
Where you murdering the beat.
And also in our 2 hours in, let's go ahead and rotate this brisket for even cooking. Now these are our current internal temperatures for our 2 hour mark. Now go ahead and set your timer for an additional 2 hours. So about an hour has went by, and I wanted to go ahead and check it again to see if we need to spritz it. And it does look dry in some areas, so I'll go ahead and spray it with some water. So now it's 27 degrees out with the winds blowing at about 15 miles an hour. And I had a kind of a fail here because with both vents wide open, the top and bottom, I could not get this pit to come up to temp for nothing. It stayed around 250 or so. And so I had Mr. Vinny come out here and give me a hand. And good thing I had this smoker fired up and ready to go. So I'm just going to go ahead and lay it on there and we're going to finish it out. We are not going to wrap this brisket at all. We're just going to let it finish out and we shall return. Alright, here I like to show you that I had added some potatoes to this smoker. And nothing more than shortening and seasoning and wrapped in foil. And away we go. Okay, so we're 7.5 hours in. And what I'm going to do is get this temped out. And we are going to wrap it and let it rest for at least 1 hour. This brisket temped out to around 203 in spots. Some spots were 210, some spots were 205, and it's going in like butter. So this thing is ready to pull. I'm not sure if you noticed, but I also had added some bacon wrapped asparagus and bacon wrapped Brussels sprouts, which turned out really good. That's one of my family's favorite sides now. So I had a subscriber ask about a video on those bacon wrapped asparagus, so I'll go ahead and do that along with the bacon wrapped Brussels sprouts. So all you need to do for this step is just grab a couple of sheets of heavy duty aluminum foil and just go ahead and wrap it up. You don't need to add no juices. We're just going to let this thing rest. And all I did after I wrapped it was set it up on my countertop and just let it sit there for 1 hour. I didn't wrap it in a towel like I normally would or anything like that. Just straight aluminum foil, double wrapped, set it on the counter, set your timer for 1 hour, and then we're gonna go slice. So we're 8.5 hours in, so let's go ahead and see how this thing turned out. And as you can see, it has a very nice bark with some good color.
Where you murdering the beat.
Alright, let's go ahead and start cutting into this flat and see what it looks like. I'm going to cut a little bit of this end piece here and let's just see. Usually that piece is it's dry, but look at this. It's very moist. I gotta say, I'm very impressed so far.
Where you murdering the beat.
Let's go ahead and check this piece here and see how it looks. Not too bad. I would expect for a prime it would have been a little more juicier, but then again, every cut of meat will be different.
Where you murdering the beat.
Alright, let's go ahead and cut closer into the point here. And just to see how we look on the inside here. And yeah, it's moist. You know, it feels like it's going to be tender and everything. Be honest, I've had my briskets juicier in this, but as you can see, it's pouring out juice. I mean, it's cooked perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of this cut up and show you guys how this looks. I do apologize for all the fast play going on in the video, but if I don't do it, this would be a 2-hour video, so I'm just trying to speed it up to keep it as short as possible. So what I'm going to end up doing with this point is, with this side, I'm going to go ahead and shred it up and make some pulled pork sandwiches tomorrow. And with the other side of the point, I'm going to go ahead and cube it up and do some burn ends. This will be amazing. I could tell you now that this brisket turned out perfect, even though I had a little fail with the Weber kettle with the 2 charcoal baskets, but I think we had a good recovery. Now, I'm sure if it was a spring or a hot summer day, I could have done this all on the Weber without having to transfer it to another smoker. It's just, I believe a lot of this had to do with the wind, the cold weather, and I can't believe I forgot to do a taste test with you guys. I'll get better at this. I'm still new to the YouTube thing, so I'll do the best I can to make it right. So if you like what you saw, please subscribe. Comment below if you have any questions or how you would have done it different. Like the video, share to your friends, click that notification bell, and have a good day.